Tottenham Hotspur.
What is going on? And you know what? It's very interesting because the internet, they're very good at contextualizing things.
Yeah.
So after, literally, like within an hour of the final whistle, I saw something on Instagram where the guy's like, well, look, X amount of days, he's counting the days. Conte said this thing. And it's just amazing how something can age.
Mm-hmm.
So watching Conte's rambling press conference after that game, it doesn't look so crazy.
No.
It doesn't look so crazy. The team doesn't fight for each other. They don't play for the shirt. And I actually think that what Conte said seemed crazy here. I think in Italy, they would have been like, yeah, all right, fair enough, lad. Do you know what I
but
mean?
the English media don't like honesty, innit?
Yeah, that's
No,
true.
no,
And that's it.
They do like honesty, but when you give it to them, that's when it obviously causes you a problem.
No, they don't like honesty when you're calling people's fight and morals and motivation into
Wait, when we're
question.
saying don't like, because you know when the media sit down in front of the managers at press conference, they're trying to get as much information out of you. So when I'm saying they do like the negative that comes from the managers, that's what I'm trying to get.
Oh, they try to feed it.
They're trying to
tease
they
it out.
want him to say those things.
No, but I know what Keith's saying because the commentary
behind it.
So if you listen to
Disrespectful, blah, blah, blah.
all the other podcasts, if you read the articles I've written about it, it was very much, well, you're saying this like you're not responsible, or you're saying. But actually, if you listen to what he said without agenda, what he's saying is, we all get paid.
Yeah,
to
and he
deliver
started
for
with
this-
himself. When he said the
started with
rant,
himself, yeah.
he was like, I get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
The players get paid a lot
Yeah.
of money. Like
We should deliver X amount.
Mhm.
But the one thing that changes here all the time is the manager, not the players. And they were like, oh, we don't know what players he's talking to. No, we know what players he's talking to. He's talking to the players that have been here for all of those managers.
Mm-hmm.
That's who he was talking to. He wasn't talking to someone like Emerson who's been there since last summer or whatever. Well, he might be talking to him, but he's talking to him less.
Yeah.
You understand? So when you watch that video, after a team has capitulated to 5-0 in 21 minutes, it's almost a bit like when Mourinho said, my greatest achievement was finishing second with that Man United team, and everyone laughed at him.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year or so later, it was like, what were you lot saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this what I saw was just absolutely mind blowing. First and foremost, Perisic and Porro. They're not fullbacks.
They're not, man. Especially
They're not
especially
fullbacks.
Perisic.
They're
going to the
wide
back four.
midfielders
Yeah.
who have been playing.
Wing
Well,
back.
Perisic is a wide midfielder who naturally plays as a winger, right?
Yeah. But he can play
Porro-
wing back. Not fullback.
But under Conte,
Yes.
he was converted to a wing back at Inter.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because at the other clubs at Bayern and that, he was a left winger. He wasn't a left wing back, or he was a left winger. Porro at Sporting was a right wing back, right? I don't understand what he was doing, putting them at left back and right back against Newcastle, who have a dynamic attack where you've got, whether it's ASM, Gordon, Miggy, Isaac through the middle, Joelinton just doing his free roll. Like it was just.
So
you
last
can say what
week,
you like about Jacob
unbelievable.
Murphy, but up and down.
Even Jacob Murphy.
So last week I said, why doesn't he do something different? And he came out and did something different, but he didn't do it with the right tools. Like I say, if you like, I don't think they said Tottenham hadn't played a back four for maybe 18 months or since Conte come in.
Yeah.
If you want to play a back four, but you got to, like Isaac said, you got to play the right players
Ben
in
Davis.
the system that you've got.
Matt Doherty.
Yeah, they've got these kind of
Emerson.
players. And I was chatting to John yesterday. Like we've got Spurs friends in it, and like this, we've been told that we've got a bit of a bias against Spurs, etc. So I reached out to my Spurs friend and said, "What is your take on the kind of current climate at Spurs?" And they were like, essentially, people get onto us because we say we don't want Levy in the club. And he's like, Levy's not, the money that Tottenham are generating, if you look at Tottenham as a business model, it's a very good business model.
Yeah.
They generate a lot of money. But he's not putting that sufficient amount of money back into the club. You're like, granted, we brought Joel...
Sorry, just to be specific, back onto the footballing side of the club.
The footballing side of the
fine.
club.
Yeah.
He's like, granted, we brought in Richarlison for XML and we did back, but that money
Mr.
came...
Untouchable.
But that money came
I
from...
don't agree with that, but go on.
But that money came from TV money rather than revenue brought into the club, and the managers haven't been backed efficiently in terms of you do use going into the season for Champions League. Do you go in with Romero, Ben Davis, etc.? So that's the kind of I'm not saying that's the general Tottenham feel, but that's like a feel of some of the Tottenham fans. And you can kind of say fair enough, because if you look at their defence, is it good enough for a Champions League push?
And this is where for me the detail is important. So I will add to that. I've got a friend who is a third generation Spurs fan. You know them. He's grown up in it. His dad's a season ticket holder. All of that, and he's kind of said effectively the same thing around Levy, that actually Levy has not made the correct decisions for the team. He doesn't say that Levy hasn't spent the money in the team. He thinks Levy has spent it incorrectly. So I think when you get a manager like Conte in on 20 million a year, whatever it was, you can't say they're not invested in the football side, right? They've had Mourinho, they've had Conte. Both of those people have bought a lot of players. I think where Levy has, or the stewardship of that club has gone wrong, is actually on the footballing side, but on the technical side. Mm-hmm. So director of football, the signings they've made, but they have invested in the team. They've just made poor investments. They've made poor decisions. And if you're going to bring in people like Mourinho and Conte, one of the consistent things they've had when they've been successful is they've got everything that they've wanted. Mm-hmm. Whether that's lots of money and lots of players, or, which is almost just as important, being able to get rid of who they don't want. Mm. Because even if you look at Conte's Chelsea winning team, it's not like he had a madness. I mean, Victor Moses was starting every week. No disrespect to Victor Moses, but he took him to Inter with him. Yeah. And then he took him to Inter. You know, Alonso was on the other side. So, but he was allowed. There was no pressure when you're playing Moses every week and you're sitting someone else on the bench who's on a lot more money or whatever it is. There was no pressure. So I think what
the issue that they've had is that with Mourinho and Conte, they've gone to Levy or the board with the A-list players, and it's very rare that they've got the A-list player. They're like, we want X, Y, Z, and we can't give you X, Y, Z. We'll give you X and BC.
So what's the director of football doing then? Because other clubs are not buying A-list players.
The one that just quit.
Well, he had to quit because of his charges. But look, I think it's fair to a point to say Levy has executed the business side of Tottenham Hotspur very well. The stadium is fantastic. They play lots of NFL games there. You can drive a go-kart around it now. Fantastic.
Well, they're going to have to... I think next season is going to be... Well, this summer is going to be very vital to the intent and their plans, because if Harry Kane stays or he leaves, there's major change that's needed, regardless of whether he stays or leaves. I think he needs to leave.
I actually think they're at a point now where you've got to take those bad whatever you think it is going to be if Harry Kane leaves. Take those bad couple of years, effectively kind of start again. And so many things have to come together for your football plan to start working it. Let's not act like he hasn't tried. He didn't employ Conte in the hope that he will fail. Right. He didn't give him that big contract. He didn't bring in, I can't even say them, I always get it wrong. He didn't bring in the director of football who had a very good record at Juve. So you can see the intent there. But in hindsight, they just proved to be poor decisions, poor consecutive decisions. And as I said in a previous pod, he did try it with Nuno, right? So he said, okay, you've done okay at Wolves. Okay, not but if you come here, maybe with better resources, different players, you could do better. So he did try that as well. So it's not like he's just gone for the old school, tried and tested, because some of the school of thought is, well, you kind of got there too late, mate. You should have gone for one of the newer school, brighter thinking, etc. But again, Conte had won 5 leagues in 10 years. You can't you can't dispute. Yeah, you can't.
But the thing is,
going for that.
If you get in a Conte or Mourinho, you can't negotiate with them, innit?
I agree. Yeah.
You got to be like,
you
right.
kind of have to give them the freedom.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to be like, right. Regardless of how I feel as the owner of the club, if I'm bringing you in to bring success, I've got to give you autonomy to do what you want, innit? Like, Mourinho got to the League Cup final and you sack him like 3 days before. Like,
it's true.
Like it doesn't make sense.
Conte got Champions League in half a season. They bought Richarlison for big money.
Yeah.
Bought Kulusevski, bought Bentancur. You know, they've... And sometimes I think we forget as well, it's not just about big transfer fees, right? These players come with, you know, decent contracts. All of that's
Wages,
investment, you know? So I just think that there are various elements. We've seen it elsewhere. Liverpool, they got Klopp in, but also they had an infrastructure where for a period, the buying and selling of players was very strategic, was done very well, which allowed Klopp to have tools to execute whatever he wanted to execute, right? It takes 3 or 4 things to come together for a period of time for you to now start going like that. Man United is a fantastic example of that. They had all the money. They invested. Where are we now? They didn't have the off-the-pitch football strategy. They finally got a manager who seems to have a very clear way of playing and a plan, etc. So I think the only problem with that is now, though, can Daniel Levy change however many years, 10, 15, 20 years of behaviour?
No.
Can he do what's needed to really U-turn all of that and really rip it all up and say, okay.
I don't think Tottenham flourish until he leaves, essentially. And he's not going to leave because the business model that he created is it's amazing, to be fair.
Yeah,
like, if you go to Tottenham Stadium, it's the best footballing stadium that I've been to. Like,
I've been there.
It's a dope stadium.
It's good.
Give me another one.
I hate
stadium
Tottenham Stadium is dope.
It's
like,
nice, bro.
And you see the wall, you see the
single tier.
Hold on, can we ask
tier list?
Isaac what stadium
That's what I
is you
just
thinking?
asked
what stadium is better?
What stadium is it you're thinking of?
What stadium's better?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't want to say it.
I'm not talking about
atmosphere.
I'm not talking about atmosphere.
What did he say?
He better not say Anfield. He hasn't said Anfield.
No, not Anfield.
I'm not
Anfield needs a
talking
whole
like-
load of work.
Atmosphere or anything like that. I'm talking as a structure.
I know. I sat in that stadium for 6 hours, bro.
No, but even atmosphere, when you're there at a game and that one tier stand
Bro.
is I thought I was in Germany. It was mad.
Yeah, it's very good, man.
That stadium is
I think it's the best stadium in the league, in the country.
it's
Oh,
absolutely
yeah,
annoyingly fantastic.
Yeah.
We have a side question, yeah. So I think it's a bit of a cop out to keep blaming Levy, yeah, because he's, like you said, he's tried. He's given managers X amount of money to spend, and he's brought in 2 of the best managers that have ever managed the game, right? Conte and Mourinho.
Wait. 2 of the what?
They are 2 of the best managers that ever.
2 of the best, or
they're not the best. They're 2 of the best managers that have ever managed the game. Are
just
they not?
checking. I was just checking because he made it sound like they were the 2 best.
No. I know what you meant.
2 of the first.
So my question
The
is,
scissors was coming, bro.
aside from the fact that I think the Levy thing is a cop out, what makes a good manager? Because if he's brought in those managers and they've not been able to be successful at the club, are they good managers?
They are good managers.
No, hold on, let me land. They've had teams that have had I won't say galactical players, but they've had teams that have had world-class players, yeah? Have they had players where they've had to nurture them and actually manage the players to become better than what they are and win things?
How's that? You go. Because I've got one question
though?
for you, but you go.
You get the question though.
I get the question.
yeah.
I get the question. I think in my mind, the only real like top level manager that I can think of that's coming and in fact, no, let me not go there. Let me not start there. Right? Let me not start there. In terms of what you're saying, I hear you, but there's not a single top level manager that's come in and gone, looked at what he's got and gone, yeah, this isn't good enough. You need to bring in what I need in order for me to do my job. Pep is a perfect example. He walked into City, he gave man a chance, and he said, listen,
From Joe Hart.
they're not good enough. No, he gave him a chance. He gave him a chance.
He did.
No, he gave
He didn't play a
no,
single competitive. He didn't play a Premier
gave
League.
him pre-season.
No, he did. He
gave him
did.
pre-season.
He didn't play.
I'm pretty sure he played at least 2 games.
No, he
Zero.
brought in-
Really?
Zero.
He brought in the keeper.
All right. No,
But the
but
fact is
no,
that
no.
at least
All right,
2 games.
all right, cool.
But that was
Yeah.
All right, but that's neither here nor there. But he
on
comes
a
in
scale, yeah.
on the grand scale. He comes in. He will give man a try, and he will go, "You're not good enough. You're not good enough. Listen, boy,
Hold
I
it.
need them gone, and I need these man in.
Mm.
All right. There's not a single top level manager now in this day and age that doesn't come in and do that. You have to give them the freedom and the autonomy to come in and go, right, that's not good enough. I need this, this, and this. You can't turn around and be like, yeah, I can't give you that. I'm going to give you this subpar per player. you've got to make do with it and expect them to produce on the level that you want
or at
them to do.
least you lower your expectations accordingly.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Exactly. So you say, all right, cool. We can't give you that. So what we're gonna do as a compromise, all right, cool. We said title challenge. We haven't given you the players you need. We'll accept top 4. Yeah.
And to be fair,
And Mourinho
they didn't
and-
sack him because he didn't. They sacked him because of his
The
his
outburst.
insubordination. Right. They didn't sack him because he didn't do well. And what I was gonna to add to what Isaac said, what I was gonna ask you is, what is success for them? Because him getting top 4 with that team last season, I would argue was success.
It was success.
And he was on course for top 4 this year.
season. Yeah.
Like since he's left, their top 4 stronghold has wavered since he left. You
Quite
could
flaky anyway before.
no, but you could have said they're gonna nick the. It's gonna go down between
It
them.
was touch and go.
It's
Man
gonna go
United,
down to them and Man
Newcastle
United
and-
to the wire at least. Where now you're looking, well, they might not get into Europe. So again, it's about what's your marker in it. Like I don't think you go into Tottenham and say we're going to challenge for the title because bar the Leicester season, which wasn't really a title challenge, but they haven't been near it. So
And Shirky, and just to his question, because I slightly feel like I didn't answer it. You don't have the time and the patience these days to nurture players. You kind of have to, if you're a top manager or if you expect high things, those players have to come ready.
And also,
to
if
go.
you want, sorry, Mark, before that, and if you want to nurture players, you employ the right type of manager for that.
Okay, so that Tottenham squad, is there really much nurturing that's needed? Because if you look at their squad compared to Arsenal
You
squad,
don't really have young players
you've got
coming through.
that's my point. So what are you nurturing?
No,
They're
but you're
not
the
a
one that
rubbish
said
team.
nurture. You're the one that said that they
No,
have
I didn't say that.
players.
Isaac just said that about nurturing
No,
players.
but your question was what was something to do with top managers? What top managers are coming in and nurturing?
Yeah, you said nothing.
That was your question.
I'm talking about working with players that
What
are
you
not
got.
world class, not necessarily
Yeah.
nurturing players. Nurturing
Okay.
players, I'm thinking
All right,
young
so
players.
Klopp come into Liverpool and took us to a Europa League final with some shocking players, right?
So therefore, he's a good manager, no?
Right? And then what happened the next season?
What happened the next season?
Get out, man. Get out, man. Get out.
But he's still a good manager, though. You think Klopp goes to this Spurs team when Conte entered the team and does as bad as supposedly Spurs are doing?
No, but you say as bad.
it's not bad.
The Spurs are currently doing really bad, bro.
No, they're
I
doing
think-
really
I
bad
think-
compared to what Conte was doing.
I think De Zerbi at the moment's the only manager
I agree.
that's doing that.
Yeah,
What you're trying to get, I think De Zerbi. I think Potter was doing it to an extent.
Yeah.
And then he's obviously, got reaped the benefits and got a big job, but then got sacked. But De Zerbi's coming and taking it to a new level. He's working with obscure players,
De
and
Zerbi's doing
players
his
that are
thing.
not great.
And let's not conflate a couple of things, right? Because you might not be a fan of Conte's football. That's
Yeah.
fair. That's a preference thing. You might say he plays Jerry football, etc. But if we're talking about what he achieves with the team, you can say he's not a long-term, but that's all well and good. But with the players he had
Mm.
and what he you can't tell me that, and actually a lot of you can't tell me that he wasn't doing well with what he had, in my opinion. To come in January, get top 4, he did what he was brought in to do. Get me in the Champions League, get me that revenue. Cool.
Mitigate your certain
There was
circumstances.
there's no way anyone in Tottenham Football Club could say, even in private, that with the investment we made, we expected Conte to now be challenging for the title.
They were lucky to get top 4 last season, though. Let's be serious.
But luck
But
or
they
not,
did. They got it.
They got
They
it,
got it.
right?
Other team, another
That's
team.
not even-
And they
that's
got
not-
into Europe.
Yeah, that's
But
what it is.
speaking of Europe, the United game.
Wait, hold on. Still got one more Prem game. So
That's itching.
I'm
Yeah,
itching.
so
I need to
I
talk
think-
about this.
I think the Spurs situation, I mean, they've sacked Stellini today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're now another club Ryan Mason's in charge apparently to the end of the season. So that's another club.
They didn't
that's on-
say till the end of the season. They just said he's looking after affairs. So
Oh my gosh. So they might appoint someone else. So they might have 4 managers in the season.
Do you remember what we said last week about when you sack the manager, you usually sack the backroom staff?
Yeah.
Imagine sacking the manager, not sacking his assistant, and then later on sacking his assistant. Bro, this team, this club are ridiculously
Disarray. Bruv, disarray. And the one observation for me this season, is I can't remember another season where there were just so many polar opposites.
Mm.
Like, so you got the Villas, the Brightons, doing
like
well.
the relatively smaller clubs.
Yeah, doing well. And then you've just got these supposedly stable teams. Now, don't get me wrong. Tottenham's league position is not a catastrophe by any sense of the imagination. But how they've got their results. They're fifth, and as you say, they were in the running for fourth. How they've got there? They're on their third manager for the season. You've got the whole Chelsea debacle. You know, Forest bought 52,000 players. I've just never. The narratives of I can't remember it ever being so polar opposite. So it's crazy. So look, in conclusion, Spurs. I'm saying they need to just rip the plaster off, take the pain. I think you're right. I think someone needs to come in between Levy and the football side. Not director of football. I'm talking the CEO of Villa, or you know those club CEOs who know football. They're not businessmen.
Yeah.
They are football men with commercial.
But they've got to be
acumen.
given the reins to be like,
yeah,
this is my job.
Yeah,
let me do it. Innit?
Yeah.
Like I think, Levy's for such a business-minded person. I think Levy's got too much invested in the football side, and I think that's holding them back.
My personal, I think that's my only from the opinion is because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. I think they need to go that route and then take whatever pain it takes for whether it's 2, 3, 4 years. We've all been there in our clubs.
Yeah.
But then in 10, 15 years, it's a different story. But they won't do it.
Yeah.
Because if it was built that way, the business wouldn't be successful.